Welcome to another exciting episode of football content on SportsObama TV. Like I always say, if you want more interesting football stories about Ghana and Africa, you just subscribe to the channel and follow us for more updates. It was brought to you by Castrol Engine Oil, the most efficient oil for your car's fluidity. Get Castrol Engine Oil. It's not just an oil, it's liquid engineering. Adonko Next Level Energy Drink is also one of our proud sponsors for this episode. There are talks about the Ghana Premier League becoming formally professional in the early 90s, but some transfers had already happened. Remember, Wilberforce in Fum became the most expensive player for Asante Kotoko, becoming also the first player to own a car in the 1960s. And you come to the 1970s where Robert Hammond moved from Accra House of Folk to Great Olympics for a figure around $1,000. And he was the first player to own a refrigerator bought for him by Great Olympics. That's why he was nicknamed Robert Expensive Hammond, because he was then the most expensive player in the league. There was also Modibo Toe, the Liberian, who was acquired by Sekeni Hazakes, helping them to win the league that year. But the Ghana Premier League turning professional in the early 90s meant transfers became documented. And here are some of the few transfers that we have recollected into this content. And we start from number 10. Number 10 on this list is quite a familiar man. He had played and had a very brilliant career, and that particular season in 1990 was his best for Okwa United. He moved from Okwa United to the then Goldface, now Ashanti Gold, for a record figure of 12 million cedis. That is to say 1,000 cedis in the new currency now, but 12 million cedis in 1990 for a footballer was such a huge figure, becoming the most expensive transfer in the 1990 season, moving to Ashanti Gold. And I am talking about immediate past Black Stars coach C.K. Akunnor. C.K. Akunnor broke the record in the 1990 transfer season for 12 million cedis, then moving from Okwa United to Goldface. At number 9, and we are still in Obuasi. Remember, Goldface owns a lot of history when it comes to Ghana Premier League in the 90s, because the club had been acquired by the mining giants, and they also broke a transfer record in the 1991-92 season when a young striker by name Augustine Arhinful moved from Asimfosu Soccer Missionaries to Goldface for then record of 15 million cedis, breaking Charles Akonnor's record of 12 million. And Augustine Arhinful, for his age and prowess, then became the most expensive player in the Ghana Premier League in the 1991-1992 season, also by Goldface of Obuasi. Number 8, we take you back to the 1989 season, where Isaac Nana Eshun had moved from Asante Kotoko to Accra House of Folk. The marauding right fullback was purchased for Accra House of Folk by an ardent fan, Azuma Nelson, for a figure around 25 million cedis. Then Azuma paid 600,000 cedis to House of Folk before they topped out the figure to Asante Kotoko to acquire Isaac Nana Eshun, who quits the club in 1992. So Azuma Nelson helped break the transfer record when he invested in the purchase of Nana Eshun from House of Folk's fiercest rivals, Asante Kotoko, in the 1988-89 season. We go straight to number 7. And back to Obuasi again. Edward Ajamandua, known as Rambo, moved from Asante Kotoko to Goldface in 1994 for a figure of 35 million cedis then. Goldface needed a strong and experienced defender to help them in the African Champions League campaign. And here comes Rambo, who had competed for Kotoko against Zamalek and missing the penalty, but then was the most informed defender on the local scene. So Agyenang moved from Kotoko to Goldface for a transfer record figure of 35 million cedis then, and that was huge. So we come to number 6, and we come to the capital, where Accra Hearts of Oak has started building a team for their league and African Champions League conquest, and they needed a player, top player. They went to Cape Coast, and here comes the general. Emmanuel Osei Kuffour was purchased for a round figure of 90 million cedis then in 1998 from Ebusua Dwarfs to Accra Hearts of Oak. Osei Kuffour was then the top player on the local scene, and the general was purchased for a transfer record of 90 million, according to sources at Accra Hearts of Oak, then the most expensive player on the local scene.
Operational figure is away in an ambulance. This is Kuffour, and that's 1-1 on the day, and that surely is the goal that brings the Champions League to Hearts of Oak and to Ghana. We said that Adu and Kuffour were maybe the crucial players, but it's Kuffour who's done it against the substitute goalkeeper.
At number 5, we fly straight to Osei Krom, Kumasi, where Asante Kotoko wanted to break the dominance of Hearts of Oak and has started building a formidable team. The transfer record of the year 2000 was broken by Steven Tiko Oduro, who moved from RTU, but not to Kotoko straight. He went straight to Obuasi Goldface, who paid 35 million for the player. But then Asante Kotoko stole Steven Oduro from the jaws of Goldface. Kotoko then had to pay 35 million as compensation to Goldface before paying 60 million to RTU for the signature of Steven Oduro, making it a round figure of 95 million cedis in the year 2000, and that was the transfer record for Steven Oduro in the year 2000, moving from RTU, a transit at Goldface, before moving to Kotoko for 95 million cedis then.
Free kick, and that is the second goal. That is the second goal for Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Hell has broken loose here. Steven Oduro, amazing strike, and you cannot believe it. A surprise goal, crowning it all. A very good afternoon of determined display here by Kumasi.
We come straight to the tussle again between Obuasi Goldfields and Asante Kotoko. The regional rivals have had some of the most controversial and complicated transfer sagas in the history of Ghana football. The year is 2002, and Asante Kotoko had gone to inquire about the availability of striker Nana Ahindua. Guess what? Goldface quoted an amount of 150 million cedis for the signature of Ahindua, but Asante Kotoko bargained and got him for 130 million, and that was the most expensive transfer ever in the history of Ghana football recorded. Asante Gold, then Obuasi Goldfields, selling Nana Ahindua, who later became known as Nana Obuanipa, for a record of 130 million cedis then to Kotoko.
Header, Ahindua.
It looks complicated, but then Kofi Abanga's transfer record from Aduana Stars to Accra Hearts of Oak was a massive 150 million cedis then. Don't get confused, because the currency then had not been changed to the new Ghana cedis, but that was the most expensive transfer in the history of Ghana football. Remember, Kofi Abanga was moving from a lower division side, the Duan Stars, in the Division 1 league, and it became one of the most protracted transfers in the history of Ghana football. Abanga first moved to Kumasi Asante Kotoko under the care of Duan Stars Chief Executive Officer Kingsley Osei Lord Zico, who, as the management committee chairman, sold the player to Kotoko. Days later, the club's owner, Nana Agyenang II, said the player would not be sold to Asante Kotoko, but rather House of Folk, as he was the patron of the club. Abanga then, after almost 2 weeks, moved to Accra from Kumasi for a record transfer fee of 150 million cedis in 2007 for the most expensive local transfers. And number 2 is the mother of all transfers in the history of Ghana Premier League, and I'm sure you already know. It is the transfer of Charles Bismarck Asamoah Barnier, the terrible tormentor Taylor, from Accra Suffolk to Asante Kotoko in the year 2003. Charles Taylor's move, the controversies, the complexities, the complications, and everything that surrounded the deal was not that important. But the figure amounted to around 1.8 billion cedis then, with a compensation of over 80 million paid to House of Folk. So actually, Charles Taylor's transfer was around 1 billion cedis then, but the complications got to do with the compensations to be paid to House of Folk because the player had breached a regulation on the transfer. So a sum total of 1.8 billion was paid by Asante Kotoko in the end before acquiring and getting full ownership of Charles Taylor. This stood for so many years before the record was broken. And who is at number 1? So before we come to number 1, there have been some transfers in the Ghana Premier League, although not truly documented and no other external sources to confirm. But reports suggest that the move of Gilbert Fiamenyo from Heart of Lions to Accra Suffolk cost the Phobians around 1.1 billion cedis, and that transfer record was paid in installments, so that makes it difficult to include in the 10, but he is still one of the most expensive players in the history of Ghana football. And recently, one player who's moved from Heart of Lions to Interlice, it was reported that Heart of Lions sold Isaac Twum to Interlice for a figure of around 700,000 Ghana cedis, and that's 7 billion. If we are to believe that figure, Isaac Twum should definitely be one or the most expensive player in the history of Ghana football. And also the recent move of Asamoah to Legon Cities, we understand, cost the Accra side almost $1 million, and that's $250,000 a year, making him one of the most expensive players in the history of Ghana football. But on records, the number 1 and the most expensive transfers in the history of Ghana football has got to do with the 2008 transfer of Asamoah Makwekwe from Ashanti Gold of Obuasi to Asante Kotoko for a record 2 billion, and that is 200,000 Ghana cedis. That's in the new currency. Remember, that was the financial value of the transfer, but Asante Kotoko added 2 more players to that figure. Kwame Obendako and David Sarkodie were added to the 200,000 Ghana cedis to be paid to Obuasi Ashanti Gold, but Kwame Obendako's refusal to move to Obuasi complicated the deal, making Kotoko dip their hands deeper into their pockets for the signature of Asamoah in 2008, he becoming the most expensive transfer in the history of the Ghana Premier League. So You may have heard other transfers and other values, but here we think are some of the most expensive transfers in the history of Ghana Premier League. Some of them exciting, some of them interesting, some of them controversial, but Ghana Premier League has not lacked the controversy and excitement of players moving for huge figures in the league. This was brought to you by Castrol Engine Oil, the most efficient oil for your car's fluidity. Get Castrol Engine Oil. It's not just an oil, it's liquid engineering. Atunku Next Level Energy Drink is also one of our proud sponsors for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, comment and share our videos to reach more audience. We come your way next time with another interesting and exciting episode of Ghana football content.